I'm here today to share about content. Life is a content itself. And so, if I haven't received a content alive from a mentor, so in my timeline, eh, I have several people that mentor me in each time. And so, I have Banjo, which is my brother in law, mentors me how to read the Bible. And he gave me an insight on what to do on the daily basis, including studying the Bible. And that really caught my mind how important it is to have a biblical mindset. And then the second person that I really love his leadership. His name is Larry, and he mentored me for good sometimes back 2007 and 2008. He shared his amazing skills of leadership, and I enjoyed it. And then we fast forwarded to 2012. 2010 2012, I met a guy. His name is Santi, and Santi is from the south of the Philippines. And what really amazing about this guy is his compassion and his passionate about God. And so I want my life to be like that. That is that devotion. And so he mentored me for a period of time, and I am so blessed. I'm thankful that a lot of people came along into my life and poured out to me, and whatever content they have, they installed inside of me that makes me a better version of Dennis. And so that's why how important it is to share what you have. And again, every person has a unique story. God mold and shape you and put his fingerprint on you as an identity, so to release or to share your story. Everyone has a unique story to tell. Now, this podcast or unscripted podcast that I do. The reason why I do this is just because if I'm planning to write a book, it's hard to plan and to put together what chapters is going to be there. But what I'm trying to do here is to get the internet together to make a book for me. Okay, therefore, I have to create content, and then we can select which content or chapter we want to put in the story. Because what I'm telling you right now, it's basically it's a story that is, we can choose and pick which one would fit on that book and chapter. And it's really hard to choose a book and title if you don't have the timeline of your life. Okay, if you're writing about life, if you're writing about specific, and I want to be as broad as possible, so that when we pick a book or title in the future, I could just say, hey, I want to slice this certain topic that I want to write a books on. And so therefore I have to create content, I have to share the content, so that it's easy for me to see the big picture and the broad picture, and how God molded me in a very unique and hybrid way. Because I live in the Philippines, I grew up in the Philippines, and so I talk like the Filipino, and I live with now in America. And so I have those two mindset. But what I'm bringing you today is about the mindset of the kingdom, and how this mindset, I'm sharing about content today. So right now, it's hard to know God without the Bible. The Bible is a content. You can pick characters, and God, choose a model, Moses, and it's hard for you to know Moses without reading the Bible. It's hard to pick the characteristics and attitude he has if without the Bible, because Bible is a greatest source of content that transform my life. Okay, in speaking of transform or transformation, I accepted the Lord's when I was 17 years old, right? But I really didn't have that start going to church, and so I didn't have somebody to guide me through, and so by the age of 19, that's where the time that I have to be serious about the Lord, because of multiple people reaching out to me. So it's important to have like different people, Christians, that reach out to a single non-believers, although they received Jesus. Okay, now they're now believers, but it's not automatic based on my story, on my life. It's not automatic, because I start, like, here's the thing, I have so much crap in my life by losing my mother when I was 8 years old. My dad was never there, and I grew up in my grandma's house, and I go jump to house with my friends and all of that stuff. And my environment that I grew up is, a friend that influenced me how to use, cigarettes and drinking. And I start very young age, so it's hard to flush that out by just one time. You have to have multiple people guiding you through. And that's how important Christianity today. When we think about transformation, it's not automatic. You have to put time, you have to put effort, you have to keep reaching out. I'm glad that my friends, Christian friends, did not stop reaching out to me. Otherwise, I would be in that side of being unreached, and I would not meet my beautiful wife. I wouldn't even see my handsome son, Benjamin, till today if there's no friends or people that I know that they're Christian and start reaching out to me. And so that's how important it is. And what they're pouring to me is the content. It's Jesus' life pouring out to me. And live your life. Don't be shy. Don't be ashamed of what you believe, because that is power. You carry power inside of you. And that's why I'm really passionate about personal story, because that's the genuine, that's the experience that you cannot buy. That's the life that you live in, and that's how you grow your mindset, you grow your heart, and rooted in the Word of God. And so that's how important it is to share your content. As a Christian, it's important. What do you learn? What do you experience? What do you encounter the Lord? Like, you have to encounter those. And I remember one time that I prayed, I want to encounter the Lord personally, so that I'm not dry, I'm not lifeless. And so because of that encounter with the Lord, it's your personal, and He would meet you in the different level you are in if you ask. And He said in His word, ask and it shall be given, knock and the doors will be open. And so that there for you is the living water that flows, and it's free. And so I'm sharing this, and it's unscripted, because I'm going to pick which content or chapter that I'm going to put in the book if I'm planning to write a book. And so I just want to get a segments so that I can pick. Now, I have the experience also that so 2009 to 2013, we have this team called Impact World Tour, or our organization, Impact World Tour. So my wife is here in the US doing Impact World Tour, and then me in the Philippines, we have know each other. Yeah, I'm working there as well. Impact World Tour is part of YWAM, or Youth with a Mission. It's a global mission organization. And so what Impact World Tour does is a massive evangelistic campaign. I remember we have a citywide prayer, we have citywide gospel presentation, and we have provincial or statewide as well in the Philippines. Back 2011, we have a statewide approach. What is that? Is we have 3 teams that comes from internationally, from US, Hawaii, from Polynesia, from New Zealand, from Australia, all of these teams. So we have 3 teams that come to the Philippines. Number 1 team is called Team Extreme. Team Extreme is the team that bent the way to present the gospel in a very unique way, in a very entertaining way, is to bend the steel bars and break breaks in their hand, hollow blocks or any blocks that they can break, tear down the phone books by their hands. I mean, these are the muscular, strong guys that present the gospel, and there was amazing. And then the second team is called Island Breeze. Island Breeze is Polynesian dancers. So the way they present the gospel is through the culture, and so you're gonna have that amazing, nice cultural dance. And then the last team is called Generation X or GX. These are the bikers. These are the extreme kids that has roller skaters and can jump high, can break dance, and for reaching out for the younger generation. And so what's the uniqueness of content that they have is that they have to present the gospel in a very effective way according to the age. Now the gospel did not change. The content of the gospel, it's the same, but just the approach and strategy changed based on the generation we are right now. And so I had an opportunity to coordinate and gather this in-person event. And this event, it's amazing. We gathered churches, we collaborated churches, hundreds or even thousands of churches from in the Philippines because of this event. Now this event is actually leading to discipleship. Now we want as many as possible non-believers to come to the event. Now during the event, we have called altar call, where the non-believers and Christians come together. And then the non-believers, when they decided to come and to give their life to the Lord, the Christians' friends would take their phone number for the follow-up of their small groups. Okay? Now that was the most important part, that we come along and help each church in that city, in a citywide approach, to gather all of these people and then give them an access to follow up for the discipleship. It's very important, again, to disciple people outside the church. Okay, it's very important before you invite somebody to the church that they make sure they know who Jesus is, and they know all of this information before inviting to the church. Because what happened, okay, let me tell you this. I remember my sister, my older sister, they are, Christians before me, and so they invite me as well to the church the first time. And it was too embarrassing because I ate the bread before everybody else. And so everybody was like looking at me, and I was like, I will never go back to this church again. And I did not. Because one, strange, like this is not happening. It was the first time that I go to church, and then I don't know what's a communion. Nobody asked me why we have this communion. Okay, and so that's why very important to nurture somebody outside the church. Now in Kingdom Legacy Ministries in the Philippines, the approach is, and the strategy we have feeding programs. Okay, that's great. We teach about Jesus, right? But then how about the parents? Now we have to go to the parents. Now we have access to the parents. Since we're feeding the kids, it's an opportunity for us to connect and establish a Bible study, establish a relationship with them. Since we already have a trust and relationship, now we can start doing Bible study or knowing God, okay, to grow them in their relationship with the Lord, and they will know the Lord, they will know the truth, and the truth will set them free. Because our goal is to break the cycle of poverty. Now, speaking about poverty, is that I grew up in an area, and I remember my grandmother had to cut the pencils into 3 or 4 pieces so that we have something to write on to the schools. And so that level of poverty. And I remember that I only have 2 t-shirts, okay, and this t-shirt we have to wash it, and then we have to swing it actually from school so that it dried out before we go home. And so that type of mentality, we want the kids to experience, first of all, the love of Christ, his generosity, and Kingdom Legacy come along to give an opportunity. Okay, we're not only feeding, we're sending them back to school for education purposes, and they can have a job. And then the next one is the very important, is that we have a place to come together as a kids for a feeding and teaching about Jesus. Now our youth right now that is leading the worship, leading the small groups, it used to be the kids that is a result of feeding program. Now they're growing up in the Lord, and that's amazing to see that these models, their life was changed because of what people did to them. Give them opportunity to know the Lord. And that's why we always put seeds in any way, strategically, so that when these kids grow up going to high school, like what our youth is doing right now, they know the Bible, they know the Lord, and they have a personal relationship with the Lord. And so what their content right now in their life is they're able to share. Now when sharing the truth can affect, transform the life of others. I mean, that's the most important part to do, to share the truth, and that can transform your life. Another thing that I want to share to you today about how important it is to share the content you have is that, first of all, okay, I would say the Bible, the word of God transform me, and that can transform, and that's the reason why we're bringing impact because of that. Okay, we're now wearing Jesus' life instead of our life. So right now, I'm not a book reader instead of the Bible, but last year or 2 years ago, my wife gave me this book as a gift, a birthday gift, and I said, well, thank you. Is that a joke or something like that? But then I researched the author before I read the book. So as I researched this guy, I came to his video, and his video I started loving it. and I keep watching his video. And one of his videos, that because I want to know more, I decided to read this book. And this book is called The Principle and the Power of the Vision. Because vision, people without vision will be perished. And so that's how important is the book. After reading this book, I decided to go again to find information about this guy. So I watched videos because he literally it is like a life-changing conversation. Watching him and doing his podcast, listening to this guy, I start liking his content. And so, and one of the content he shared or in his podcast is that he mentioned about people dying, and he said the cemetery is the richest place on earth, on the planet, because there are a lot of treasure, potential in this person, talent that never been shared, buried in that tomb. And he said, I want you to die not because you're old. I want you to die because you're empty. That means you already poured out your gifts and your talent. You use it all. Like Apostle Paul said, I'm like an offering drink, poured out, empty. And Jesus also said, it is finished in the cross. Yeah, so he died, when he was 33 years old, which is 11 years younger than me. And so think about that content. It is not because, so what he was saying was, don't die because you're old. Die because you already established, you're already sharing what you have. So emptied it out, because God created you not for you to just live and hide it. God created you, designed you for a purpose of sharing your life, blessing your life. Again, in the beginning of my video today, since this is unscripted, I shared about my mentors, the people that poured out in my life, their content. Life is a content. Don't hide it, share it, because God made you to share what He put in your life. Use it. Like Moses, he doesn't need computers. He doesn't need iPhone. He doesn't need phone. He only needs his stuff. So whatever it is in your life right now, don't be someone else. In other words, don't be like Pharaoh, who has this luxury and golds, but use what you have, because what you have is really powerful. And that's what the Lord created you to be, a unique force to change the world. Okay? And to change the world, it takes one steps. It starts from your heart transformation to your family and to your friends and outside of your network. And so that's how important content is. And since this is unscripted, I wanna say something that when I going back to my life, it is really impossible for me to see like how did I end up here, because it is impossible even in my brain to take back with my life and like, wow, how did I end up here? And because it is the Lord. Okay, so once you have that, you can now share to others how important it is. Because once you're in a problem, once you're in the box of issues in your life and problem, you cannot see outside of that. So having those put on your shoes, okay, and share to others, that bring life, that opens more layer of a conversation, that there is an out of the situation. Now I was so in that situation, I would put my experience, like when I was hungry in the Philippines and I haven't eaten for 4 days food because we don't have food in that. We drink water. I thought it was just the end of the world. But then having someone to come along and say it's not the end of the world. Okay? Our neighbor, her name is Levy, and she's devoted Christian. She will create a porridge and she will bring it to us with my cousins and the kids, our friends. And then what she did is just amazing seeds that she planted in us. And she didn't know how potential we can be. But then in that sense, in that moment, she actually see the bigger picture. Like, I could feed Dennis. So Levy was preparing a porridge. If you don't know what a porridge is, you don't have to Google it. Porridge is 1 cup of rice with maybe half a gallon or a gallon of water, and then you stir it until it boils, and then you have a few pieces of chicken to mix it, put salt and pepper, and that's porridge. So porridge, you can eat it by putting in your glass or in a mug, and then just like a soup. And so Levy have that investment in us, and so without her, that see us as a big potential, it is really hard for kids to see the future either. So having someone to see what is really unveiling the future of these kids can be very relevant and important. We want to talk about having you create your content. Now, why did I say this? Okay, 2024 is the year of AI. And what this artificial intelligence is once your content is online, they can actually pick a very segments of your story. If someone asks you online, they can actually pick the specific segments of your story, of who you are identity wise, and spit that out to them. Now, the other bad news is that when you don't have one content, the AI would try to pull from others information. And that's a reason why I challenge everybody to do their small content. And I'm not a writer, I'm not a guru, but again, that's the reason why my theme today is about life as a content. Is what you do is to generate content and let this content be out, because it's very important. And second of all is the generative AI that would replicate this information to many formats. It's either text-based blog or an audio or a video format as well. And so I created this so that AI can actually pick the important story, not from the AI itself, but it's the story, because AI can be mixed with other information. Now AI is trying to learn, this learning machine try to learn the behavior the characters, the attitude of humans, okay, and try to pull that information together so that it can generate a best practice of accuracy answer. And if you don't have that content, it's either a company or a nonprofit or about you. Now the AI would create themselves like just the information from other people, not your actual identity, because AI can just change my can just change my tune of the voice, change my story, instead of being the genuine story is. And so part of the reason is that I want this information to be not changed by artificial intelligence or any machine learning that can generate information. And so having those, it's very important, and I would challenge you to do the same thing about getting your information. Just small amount of information, it's good. Content, because life is about content. And so to support that, the guy that wrote this book, it was I just discovered after reading his book, after listening all of his podcasts, that he's been dead for 10 years. And so I was shocked in my mind and said, man, I've been watching this dead guy talking on podcast. I've been watching this dead guy, a long time dead guy that is in the video. And so what he's doing, even in his graveyard, or his spirit is in the Lord, he's still touching the lives of others because of his books, because of his video, because of his content, or because his audio. I mean, content can be in different format. It's text, blogging, writing, audio, video like this format, that's a content. And so having to watch this guy that is long time gone on earth, he's still touching. And I was thinking in my mind, like, when I grow up, I want to be like this guy, that even it's in my graveyard, or if I'm in the Lord, with the Lord, I'm still making changes on people's lives. And that's how important for me to get this content. Now, content can be very I would say content is the most important. It's either company, non-profit, or you as a person, what you're doing right now, because only the content will live here on earth. You can't bring it to somewhere else. It is the content. And I want you to understand that having content is the best way that your kids, your grandkids, your friends can see who you are. Because I have a friend for a long time, but you cannot really know who this person is unless they poured out this content. And so having this content, it would last. With the internet, information is not gonna stop. Now, there are people gonna say the technology is going wrong or it would stop. No, that's not true. Technology, it's only gonna get more, better and better and better. So that's just hard to believe, but it is. Technology is going to increase and increase in a daily basis. Now, that's not gonna stop. It's gonna increase. It's gonna nice to have potential. Like, we're gonna, in 20 years from now, we're gonna have a screenless. That means we can see video call people without phone. It's gonna be a holographic or something not in the screen. And so that's why internet or technology is going to be better users. We are always increasing our knowledge to put this together. And so having this a technology, use it, because when you die and the Lord would say, where did you use your talent that I gave you? Do you want to answer, hey, I buried it because I was scared to death. I hide it because I'm scared. So I would like to answer it, I use it all. And so that my video today, my content for today, and have a great week.